Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning at KIDO Talk Radio. More of your talks, your thoughts on marijuana. I see Jason in Cuno wants to talk about pot. Jason, we'll get to you in a minute. Please hang on, but we're going to go live to east of the Great River. Attorney and author Daniel Buttafuoco joins us, author of Consider the Evidence, a trial lawyer examines eyewitness testimony in defense of the reliability of the New Testament. Wow, that's quite a challenge. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. It's good to be here. I see we're going to go from the New Testament right to pot.
Well, you're pretty much, sir. Unfortunately, anybody who's on this show, including the host, has gone to pot. But
I think the country's going to pot, if you want to know the truth.
I'm with you, sir. What do we do? What don't we know when we go into courtrooms? Obviously, you're an attorney, you're a trial attorney. You've been there, done that. We watch the shows, but there are so many things going on behind the scenes. Do you know the judge, what the prosecution can do, going back to the rules of law? Is there anything that stands out that we have a great misconception about of what a trial actually entails from our perspective?
Great question. I think the most surprising thing to most people about what goes on in the courtroom would be the emphasis that's placed on eyewitness testimony, especially in cases where factual events are in contest, such as an accident or malpractice or a criminal act. The importance of eyewitness testimony cannot be overstated. I've won cases with as little as one truthful eyewitness that was able to withstand cross-examination. And why I bring that up is because the Bible, especially the New Testament, is very much an eyewitness account of the events of the first century involving the life of Jesus. So eyewitness testimony is very important. I think people don't place enough value on it. People want to see videos, they want to see documents, but a good eyewitness is invaluable.
You know, Mr. Buttafuoco, when we look at going on and, swearing an oath, there are a lot of people that maybe they don't believe in God. Maybe they, are cafeteria Christians. It's okay to lie. And yet here we have this system where we're swearing an oath to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. How credible is that in the world of telling the truth in a courtroom today based on your experience? Do people still take that seriously, sir?
Well, listen, people have always been willing to lie to gain an advantage, to exaggerate. That goes without say. But the problem is that truth has a way of sort of sneaking up on us and biting us in the butt. And, there's this wonderful tool that lawyers use called cross-examination. And cross-examination is the right to confront witnesses that testify. And it is amazing how it works. I mean, I've been in courtroom situations where I've seen witnesses testify, and they sound so believable. And then a skillful cross-examination occurs, and by the time it's done, you don't even really believe anything the witness said. And I've also seen the opposite. I've seen honest witnesses actually get stronger after a thorough and heated cross-examination, and their testimony actually shines that much brighter. And I think that's very much the same way with the apostles and the writers of the New Testament. I have friends that I debate with, and some of them are believers, some aren't. And one lawyer friend of mine said, well, I'd believe these witnesses if they were cross-examined. I said, are you kidding? They were cross-examined to death. They were boiled in oil. They were sawed in half. They were whipped with chains and crucified upside down. I said, if that's not cross-examination, I don't know what is. I said, we ask a few questions and people unravel and crumple like a cheap suit. I said, this is the ultimate cross-examination. Every one of the apostles, every one of the witnesses of the New Testament pretty much went to their deaths proclaiming that they had seen a resurrected Jesus. Not one recanted, and they had every reason to do so. No one would die for what they know is a lie. So that testimony stands strong, and 2,000 years later, we can rely on it.
Yet how do we handle the crises of faith? And this is a little off, but you're a man of the world. I think you can handle this question. For those of us that are Catholics or, evangelicals, we've seen crises of faith where priests or other people have been accused and have sexually molested people and, use God as a cover. And you have bishops continuing. I mean, we saw the movie Spotlight that was on that. How do we reconcile that? I was sitting next to a young lady in church Sunday, and she said, I love my kids. They went to Catholic schools, but they're having trouble with the faith right now. And it seems that if you are, like you, Mr. Buttafuoco, a person of faith, you're under attack for ridicule.
Well, long ago, I've learned not to put my faith in man. You know, it's really not much different today than it was in the Middle Ages. I mean, the popes were corrupt. They had lavish orgies, full documented historical fact. Even if you look at Catholic sources, the Borgia papacy was corrupt to the core. It was mercenary. They killed people. In many ways, they were worse than they were today. Look, if your faith is in a televangelist or in a priest or in a pastor or in a church or in a denomination, it's not the right kind of faith. It's misguided. You know, man will always let you down. Jesus is the only one who will never let you down. And so when you read the Bible, your faith has to be very personal. It has to be between you and God based on the eyewitness accounts. And then you're not shaken. And you sort of expect people to screw up. I mean, I sort of do. I've seen enough in my life. I grew up in the Bronx. I've tried many cases. I expect people to lie. I expect people to to be people. I'm always pleasantly surprised when they're good. I understand that we have a sinful nature. That's what the Bible teaches. You know, we're capable of great good, of course, but we always incline to the evil. So I think if we have that attitude, we sort of insulate and inoculate ourselves from disappointment.
One more final question about the legal system, then we'll go back to the book here on 107.5 FM. 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. Mr. Buttafuoco, is our legal system fair, or is it the best legal system you can get that money can buy?
Great question. I mean, it's the fairest in the world. I actually get upset when people say that our legal system doesn't work. It actually does work, but of course, you have crazy results on, and anytime you have extreme situations, the O.J. Simpson trial being a perfect example. You take enough celebrity status, you take enough money, and you take enough prejudice and you throw it in the mix, you're going to get a skewed result. But in the actual world of everyday justice that I see, you know, in court every day, the system works quite well, assuming you have a competent lawyer and you know, you tell the truth. Things go haywire when you try to game the system or you have a bad lawyer. And it's surprising to me how much it actually does work. I think, you know, listen, it's composed of humans, and certainly mistakes are made, and there's corruption at times. But overall, we have the best system in the world, I believe.
Why did you write this book?
Well, all right, it stems from a discussion I had with a fellow trial lawyer about 25 years ago at a cocktail party. Turned out he was challenging me on my faith. The party immediately split into two, with people cheering me on, defending the Christian faith, and people cheering him on, defending the skeptic position, I guess you'd call it, even though he went to a Catholic college. And he's still one of my best friends in the whole world. When I left the party, I said to myself, you know, I know I'm a good lawyer. I can communicate. I understand how to argue. I said, but I didn't think I did a great job in explaining reasons to believe. I mean, we need reasons to believe. We shouldn't believe anything unless it's true, and we should know why we believe. And that actually helps faith. So over the last 25 years, I got a master's degree in theology. I studied Christian apologetics. I started to collect evidences for the faith. I was surprised to see how much historical corroboration and evidence there is for the Christian faith and how reliable the New Testament actually is and how well it's been preserved. And there's lots of technical reasons for that. I cover them in the book, but I do it in a way that's easy to read because there's a lot of stuff written on this that's been written for scholars, and it's not filtering down to the average person. So that's why I wrote the book, Consider the Evidence.
And how can we get it?
Well, it's sold out on Amazon twice, so it's back in stock. You can go on Amazon and look for Consider the Evidence by Dan Buttafuoco, or you can go to considertheevidencebook.com, and we'll get it to you one way or the other. We made it in paperback, so it's readily available. It's not about making money. I don't need money. I'm a successful trial lawyer. Had a lot of million-dollar settlements. I'm doing well. It's just to get the message out.
Well, thank you, sir. You have a great day, Mr. Buttafuoco, and God bless.
God bless you too, sir.
All right, there we have it. And we have a young man, Jason from CUNA, who's been very patient. Thank you for your patience. Good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Morning. I just wanted to say it is kind of outdated to have such a totalitarian view towards cannabis. I know a lot of really upper class, upper middle class people with great families. A lot of them are veterans. A lot of them are entrepreneurs. They're very successful. They support their communities. You know, you guys are into quoting the Bible. You know, I've given you all the seed-bearing plants and herbs to use. I just came from Washington State. The cannabis industry supports infrastructure. They support schools. They support getting people off of heroin and, real dirty drugs, not cannabis. And I understand that, this is a fairly conservative state, but regardless, kind of needs to wake up and, take a view that is, a bit more in line with the rest of the country. I mean, it is a great thing. I was in pharmaceuticals and nutraceutical industry for a number of years, and it's compared to the rate of people that take outrageous medications with tremendous amounts of side effects, say to cure depression or any type of, PTSD or anything like that. I think it's pretty sad. So, I was just thinking that a lot of people should hold less firm views or personas of people who do use cannabis as being
what about
lazy.
people that think that you're wrong?
They're open for that. I can't do anything about it, and I'm not going to try and convince anyone of anything. I'm just saying,
and why should they
do
change
your research?
Well, you have your research. You look what's going on in the states that have legalized pot, and they're going to pot.
Yeah, I think the entire nation should, really.
But I mean, it's not a good thing. That's what's going on in other places.
Well, I mean, you look at, I just came from Washington. It is extremely wealthy. And the way that they direct those funds and the taxes on that are extremely high, and they're very well dealt out to people that need it and to communities and to, you were recently talking about the freeways here and that type of thing. That's instant fix. So
right, but then all of a sudden you have treatment centers going up. You have the black market selling pot because the states overtax it. We've heard that it isn't good in states that legalize pot.
Well, it's kind of an outdated concept, and I think it's very biased.
Well, you have a bias. Jason and I have a bias. That's what makes America great. But what do you say to people? I mean, you've articulated your point. You believe that Idaho should start token.
I think that a lot of people do, but I think that due to religious and political affliction that come with that, carrying that identity, a lot of people have to hide, and so I just wanted to say I think a lot of people should really stand up and support any potential initiatives that may come the way and, watch how it benefits the community.
Yeah, but they should have to hide because they're lawbreakers.
And that's fine. I mean, everybody breaks the law in one way or another every day. And from driving impaired or driving with a cell phone or any number of minor obnoxious things that could occur, but
well, driving with your cell phone doesn't alter your mind like smoking marijuana or getting drunk.
That's not the point.
Well, it is the point. Jason, thank you for the call. More Pro Pot next. Kevin Miller, fighting the good fight, KIDO Talk Radio. Blessed to be with you, Kevin Miller in the morning. Let's go to Rex in Boise, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Good morning, Rex.
Good morning, Kevin. So I just wanted to add into the argument here that civil disobedience built our nation, and that just because a tyrannical government wants to pass a law doesn't mean that we, the people, have to adhere to it. And we are protected from that by jury nullification. And if we are tried for a crime that our government wants to call a crime, but our peers do not want to call a crime, we can be found guilty of jury nullification. And that just happened a few months ago in Georgia over a pound of pot. So this nation is ready for that, and 70-something% of the nation says that it should be illegal, or it should be legalized, decriminalized something of that nature, and we do that already through jury nullification. So I don't think that just because it's a crime, I don't see that as a valid argument.
Well, I'm sure if someone wants to put that to the test here in Idaho, we'd be more than happy to cover that jury nullification. I don't think you'd find as a receptive audience in the state of Georgia as you'd find here.
That may be true because we don't have a precedent here in Idaho yet. But at the same time, I mean, the national polls are 70-something% for it as opposed to against it. So,
I mean, but we're not a democracy. We're a republic.
Right. But at the same time, we are a democracy in the aspect of your peers have the right to keep you in and out of jail, depending. It doesn't matter what the law is. It depends on what your peers want to prosecute or want to convict you.
No, it does matter what the law is. If you break the law, you'll be prosecuted.
But if you go to the court and say this law is stupid because our tyrannical government doesn't have the right to tell us what we can put in our body or can't, and then your peers say, yes, we agree with you, you're guilty of jury nullification, you have a nice day, sir.
I think that's the exception rather than the rule, Rex.
Due to uneducation. If people actually tried to go for jury nullification, I'm sure we'd have a lot less people sitting in jail for nonviolent crimes.
The governor of Idaho tried that, and it didn't work out for him several years ago.
Touché.
No, look,
well,
now are you...
I appreciate the discussion, Kevin.
Rex, look, please make your case. I love hearing people that have passion. Usually it's agreement radio, so I love hearing when people say, Kevin, you're wrong, and we're going to bring the marijuana here. That's fine with me. I love the diversity of opinions.
I'm off.
All right, there we go. Traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio.
7's Eric Everett.
Larry, thank you very much. More of your phone calls next, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Back to this issue, though, concerning people wanting to legalize pot. By the way, on our website, we've covered the bill that would give you a demerit if you get caught with 3 ounces or less of pot. And quite frankly, the people that drive me crazy are the ones that go, hey, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. You're a lawbreaker. How about this? If pot is so great, how come banks cannot process the pot businesses? The banks will not touch them. The banks will not touch them. Do you know why the banks will not touch them? Because it's against the law. It still is against federal law. And where are we without law? Where are we without order? Well, we see that in California. And by the way, to quote someone, our great friend Ray Amaya, why do people keep coming here and wanting to change Idaho? To the young man who had a lot of patience, who called in, look, bro, if Washington State's so great, why did you move here? If California's so great that people continue to keep their plates, why'd you move here? And by the way, please don't tell me that you can't afford the plates here in Idaho. Most people in California, they sell their bougie mansions or shacks for millions of dollars. They come here, they drive up the prices, and look, it's a free market. We're just reporting the news. They drive up the prices of homes here, and they still have the audacity to have their California plates. Please go back to NoCal, SoCal, and have a great life. One thing that I figured out, you ever read the book The Ugly American? It's like the ugly person coming in from another state. And having traveled most of my life and lived from state to state, I learned early on, people don't like you coming into their state and saying, well, we did it better here in Timmy's world. Well, go live with Timmy. Right? More coming up. Sam and Fruitland, it's been a while. Please hang on. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning, Kevin.
And hopefully we'll still get to Sam and Fruitland. Good morning, sir.
Hey, how's it going today?
Been a while, brother.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm a horrible listener.
What can we do for you? I know you're busy.
I do listen every day on the way to work pretty much, so...
Well, and for those that don't know, Sam has been with us from the very beginning and has always given us his perspective on, his field of preference. We won't out him there, but we always appreciate the insight and following your career on Facebook. So please go ahead, Sam.
So I just kind of have a different perspective on this, I guess. Not a lot of people say what I think on the issue. I am more libertarian on the situation. If people want to smoke marijuana, that's fine. The only thing is I have some beliefs that I think they need to be restricted to those who make that lifestyle choice. number one, if you're going to do it, I think you should do it in your own private domicile. A couple of years ago, I went to a concert in Washington, and the weed was everywhere. I don't think I should have to smoke what you're smoking. And number two is I think that if you do partake, you should not be welcome to have any social services to you, whether it be Medicare, Medicaid, welfare, food stamps, whatever it might be. If you're going to make that lifestyle choice, don't make the other people pay for it because it makes you lazy. So if that's what you want to do, go for it. Go in your own little basement, smoke out, hang out there, but don't make us responsible for what you do.
I agree. No one wants to smell the dope.
So if the pot smokers, which is cool, if that's what you want to do, if it's what you do and you want someone like me on your side to help you legalize it, you guarantee in the law that you do not smoke it anywhere but your own private domicile and that you are not going to receive any benefits that the taxpayers are paying for.
I don't think you can trust a pot smoker.
Well, there's a lot of people you can't trust, Kevin.
Yeah, you're right, Sam. Hey, Sam, before you go, what do you think about my unbeatable offense, the wishbone?
The wishbone?
Yep. Bring it back.
I think it's all right if you have the right offensive front. So. But, I mean, maybe Alabama and New England Patriots should try it out.
Ah, my man. Hey, God bless you for your work with the kids. We appreciate you, Sam.
Yep, have a good one. Thank you.
You too. All right, our friend Sam Fruitland. Let's go to the Skeptical Hippo with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, sir.
Greetings. Yeah, I kind of agree with Sam about the no benefits and stuff like that, but one of my big things, and I'm not hugely anti-pot, but I'd like to know what job is okay to smoke pot and do. Is it okay for airline pilots when they're on a break, or how about people driving down the interstate, or how about the cooks, or how about people running daycares? Is that okay? What job is that okay? And we don't have a good test right now to tell whether someone's impaired that way and to what level. And they've even found out that, as you smoke it or say you do the edibles or whatever, the next day you're still in a fog. You didn't even do it, but it's, 8 hours later and you've slept it off. You're still in a fog. And so I'd like to know what job is okay for that. And, who's going to be standing under the forklift with, pallets of crap above you with some stoned dude on the forklift.
That would not be me, sir.
Me neither. And that's what I'm saying. They don't have a good way to test it right now. Like I said, I'm not hugely anti-pot, but like Sam says, your house, you are affecting others in driving, in the things that you do at work. All of those things are affected when you do it. And this whole deal about legalizing hemp and then, medicinal and whatever, believe me, I've seen it. I lived in Nevada for a while, and I see exactly what happens. It's incremental erosion and public perception changing of it, trying to get away from demonizing the weed, and it's just it's kind of a sham. They're trying to get the whole thing. They won't rest until it's recreational, and then the problems that Colorado, Oregon, and Washington are experiencing will come here too.
Agreed. Thank you.
Bro.
All right. Thank you very much, Skeptical Hippo. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And going back to, we've kind of got derailed with the dope. But do you want truck drivers? You drive a truck. You work at a warehouse. You work at a paint store. You work anywhere. You got to take a drug test, and rightfully so. And I know that we have people here that love marijuana. They think it's great. We've been covering this story, and it's available at KIDOTalkRadio.com. By the way, we'd love for you to sign up for our newsletter and our KIDO Talk Radio app. But the idea of up to 3 ounces, you get a $1,000 fine, and you could spend up to a year in prison. And you have a Representative Gannon, Democrat, who wants that reduced to, if you're a good person, you can pay $250 fine, and you can do community service and everything else. What is life without consequences? And how many of us, we've lost a few people this week here in the Treasure Valley. We've got Shay Hemlick, who was killed in a snowboarding accident on Bogus Basin Road on Saturday. His family going public, talking to our news partners, Channel 7, about trying to jump the road and getting hit by a car. Then you have the family of those killed in Kevin Miller country. Cherry Lane over by, past Black Cat right before Canada Road. And look, it is scary. We have people that speed and don't pay attention. You've got a Tundra and an F-150. And I understand people drive big trucks because they think they're safer. But when both are going excessively fast, or one's going excessively fast, and they swerve and there's a head-on collision, the chances for probability of survival, unfortunately, are not very high. And now we want to bring in the weed. And to quote Terrence from State College, Pennsylvania, who sends me this information, and you don't have to be a brain surgeon to figure this out. All states that have legalized marijuana have increased traffic accidents. National Insurance Association, your insurance goes up. Higher children going to the emergency room visits. Black market marijuana goes up. The cartels continue because the states overprice it and regulate it out of existence. That's what we're seeing here. This is a beautiful state. Why do we want the stinky marijuana people here? I don't. And I don't want the hemp people here either. I mean, we're talking about there's a bill coming up and hemp is going to be good. And you have people saying, we're going to make $40,000 an acre. Well, just like the people from Prop 2 said, hey, we're going to get $40 million from the government that they owe us. If it's too good to be true, it usually is. Tess, good morning. You're on 107.5 FM, 580 AM with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Oh, the dilemmas between different things. I'll tell you, I have such an issue with cell phones and driving, but, the marijuana issue, I don't think a lot of people recognize, especially if you're under 60, your grandma's pot is not what the pot is right now. That used to be old 2 to 3% THC. And that's not what it is now. It's 20 to 25% THC, with all the farming and the cloning that they've been doing. But
and gosh knows if they put the formaldehyde in there.
Well, there's a lot of things that are put in there. But, in terms of medical aspects, for things like Parkinson's, if you had a medical review panel that was very restricted to specific issues, that's different. But, a lot of people use, like cigarettes, people coming from high conflict families who smoke cigarettes, it's almost impossible for them to quit. Well, a lot of pot smokers, they use it to self-medicate. And when you already put it on top of some other kind of an issue, it's going to cause problems. And a lot of people who use pot don't want to admit that. So if you're on a medication or you're mixing it with, certain types of alcohol, you're going to have a problem. And you can probably ask some of the ERs here in Boise what the increase in mental health cases are that are coming in through the ER. So pot does cause a lot of problems. And there are a lot of studies that connect it into issues with schizophrenia. It's a pretty wicked product for people who are not using it correctly.
Well, look, it's a gateway drug.
Well, I mentioned before that I'm a retired CADC, so I dealt with drug alcohol a lot. And what I see is that I don't know if it is or not, honestly.
Well, I know that it is.
Well, what I've seen, there are people who use it as a poor coping skill, and then they may jump to something else because that coping skill isn't enough for them. They want a smooth drug, versus something harsh. And so I've always had, a different opinion on that. But, the problem with pot is that the states see it as a tax revenue, and so they're big on that. And people who want to do a full-out legalization, that's their way of protecting recreational users. And so I think people don't want to consider that when they're looking at the other issues. So if you did something like, if you said, okay, 3 ounces or below, you're going to get an infraction. This goes on your ticket. You could lose your license at some point. So here's what the benefit of that is. It dumps people out of the court and out of the jail system, and it puts them into forced rehab. And now you have a captured audience. So people who are using marijuana for the wrong reason, mixing it with other things, now they don't have a choice.
It simply
now
doesn't. It simply doesn't work.
No, I don't think that it does. I don't think
we can rationalize all we want, but it doesn't work. It needs to go.
Yeah, no recreational stuff does not work for people. And there's tons and tons of studies out there, especially coming out of the Netherlands, in this area, to look at issues of violence. And people want to say pot smokers are not violent. Well, if you have the right mix, yeah. If you're using that wrong dosage or wrong type, yes, there's violence and there's other problems with it.
Right,
so,
and obviously you got the cartels. Tess, thank you for the call. Max in Garden City with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. How you doing, buddy?
We are fired up and ready to go and telling people that, no, we're not going to legalize marijuana here in Idaho.
Well, I'm going to refer to China again because that's my best frame of reference. Your earlier caller had stated that there's no way to tell if a driver is smoking marijuana. But they have a street test in China, very accurate, very effective. It's a breathalyzer. And they can tell right away this little black box they have if you've been smoking marijuana. And by the way, my experience as an ER physician, it's rare to have anybody that you see who has just been smoking marijuana. Marijuana and alcohol go hand in hand. And polydrug applications, 9 times out of 10, they're not just smoking marijuana. They're taking something else with it. And like I say, in China, they pull you over, they check for blood alcohol, they check for the marijuana. If you show the blood alcohol, you get a super heavy fine, they take your car. If you show for marijuana, I've seen them beat people down right there on the side of the car. Throw what's left of them into a truck, haul them over to my ER. The penalty for marijuana smoking, the first time out is, I think it's 2 or 3 years in a work camp. And the second offense, it is entirely possible you could be killed. It's entirely possible. Now, I'm not calling for that here. But what I'm saying is people, again, I keep up with the journals, Lancet, the JMA. I keep up with these books. I have yet to see a peer-reviewed study, a trustworthy study, that says that there are medical uses to marijuana that surpass or even equal the use of other commonly available safe drugs. CBD oil, that's a different story. There's some real work for that stuff, and there are proper studies being done, respectable studies.
Well, I think people are getting desperate. That's why they want the hemp to come in. And they're looking just for the Trojan horse to come into the state.
As much as I would like to own a hemp wired shirt or a nice pair of trousers, I think that's too high a price to pay because hemp is so close a cousin to marijuana that you're just opening the doors to hell a little bit wider. I came to Idaho to shut that door, not to let these freaks come in and ruin my new home. I'm an Idahoan by choice. I came here to be an Idahoan.
Good point, Max. We appreciate you. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Blessed to be with you, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone number is 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Other news, New York legislators passed a new abortion bill that decriminalizes abortions after 24 weeks, of course, as they throw this in all the time, if it's meant to protect the mother's life. Kansas Republican Congressman and obstetrician Dr. Roger Marshall joined Fox and Friends to discuss this. Let's share his conversation, his insights. Remember, KIDO Talk Radio, your home, your proud home for Fox News here in the Treasure Valley.
Nobody in America thinks that murdering a baby just minutes before delivery is right, that this is the most barbaric law that's been written in American history.
And they celebrated in the state of New York. Look, we don't mean to scare you. There's a lot of things to scare you about, but this is the they that we talk about. You know, when people talk about a right to this, a right to that, this is what we're up against. And how dare they vilify the good people of America that has made this country so bountiful, so prosperous, that these folks, these misguided cretins, decide to tear down America. If you are a parent, if you're a grandparent, you should be very concerned.
And if I can make one thing clear, I've never done an abortion. But as an obstetrician, I have to take care of all those complications. So the later the pregnancy is, the later the abortion is done, the greater risk there is to the mom as well.
More on that in a minute. Traffic and weather together.
I'm just Channel 7's Eric Everett.
Thank you, Larry. Let's go back to the phones to Jake in Meridian with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Jake.
So, hi, Kevin. I definitely agree with you. You know, I don't want the drug dealers. You know, I still want overcrowded prisons. You know, and I want to keep the drug dealers around. You know, and I don't want my pot regulated. I want them to be able to put whatever they want on it. And I definitely don't want my prices to go up. So I agree totally with what you're saying. It sounds awesome. You definitely don't want the states to get any tax dollars, you know. And what you're saying is just perfect.
I'm glad we agree, Jake. You're a brilliant man.
Well, thank you.
And I say that in the same spirit that you've agreed with me on everything.
Well, that's what you want. That's what you're going to get.
So you believe that the nanny state taking over and an illegal weed is going to make it all better?
Not if they make it legal.
What about the other states, Brother Jake?
What about them? If it was legal in all the states, we wouldn't have the problems just condensed to a few states.
You got Oregon, you got Washington, you got Colorado. They're all regretting the decision they made to do this.
Well, if they were, they would overturn it. But the public doesn't want that.
Well, we shall see. We shall see.
You know, and what state are you from?
Where was I from before here?
Yeah.
Pennsylvania.
So why are you coming here and trying to put your beliefs on all of us? Why don't you go back there and, you know, you're just like the Californians coming here.
You know, I've outed myself for that, and it's a privilege to live here. Look, bro, I just had an offer to go do a syndicated show in a southern state, and I turned it down. I want to live here. And by the way, it's you that are trying to overturn the laws in Idaho. So actually, I'm on the right side. You're the one trying to change the law.
It's outdated laws by a bunch of media that's made things worse, than that says it's the fake news on the dangers of marijuana.
You're saying marijuana is not dangerous?
It is not chemically addictive to the body.
Fair enough, Jake. Quickly to Jim in Middleton. We're almost out of time. Good morning, sir.
Hey, Kevin, I'll make it quick here. You know what these people just don't realize? You had mentioned the other states and what's happening there, Kevin. And marijuana dumbs people down, okay? It may not be addictive like some folks say. It may not be as hurtful as some other drugs and so forth. But you look what it does to other states, and it's like you said, it robs people of their ambition. People that continually defend this, usually, Kevin, you know, that they're on the left side of the tracks, or they want to promote intoxication and so forth. And again, look at the other states, look at this closely, and we need to keep it out of Idaho. And you know, anyway, this argument is a little over the top there, Kevin, but stand fast.
Good call, Jim.